right, Zig coming in at the top of the interview. Today I have with me Kane and Kyle of Klashing Black. They're twins in a two-piece, multi-genre pop band. A lot of the music they make is done acoustic and then revamped to be more of an electronic feel. It's really cool, and I can't recommend their latest record, Who We Were, Who We Are, enough. They have a new record coming out, Untitled, at the moment, and this podcast was recorded before the release of it, but they have put out a few new singles, two of which have been Nights Like These and Stir Crazy. And those two, if they are any indication of what's about to come, we're in for some good stuff. Kane and Kyle are the real deal. They do the work, they're doing the teaching, they're doing the bar gigs, they're doing the original gigs to another level, to the point where they even practice setting up and tearing down. I haven't talked to anybody, and you can look through, I've talked to quite a few people at this point, but I haven't met anyone who's practiced setting up and tearing down. That's like the next level of being ready to handle the gig. So talking with these guys is great, and we're going to hear that conversation in just one moment. But before that, here's a tune. This is Stir Crazy. This was a single before the album.
I think it's been about 30 days since I saw you. A month ago I wasn't counting as much, but now it's all I do. What's the action that'll give me resolve? Slow my brain at night. Made a list of things to keep me calm, and checked it twice. But all I wanna do is sit 5 feet from you and shoot the shit like we used to do. Because all I really feel is this need to see the real you, cause that'll help me heal. Cause I think I'm getting stir crazy. Stir crazy. Starting to get to me. Get to me. Think I'm getting stir crazy. I could crawl, could complain. Some have tried, but I'll wait. Cause I know I'll be fine. But deep down, down inside, I know all I wanna do is sit 5 feet from you and shoot the shit like we used to do. Because all I really feel is this need to see the real you, cause that'll help me heal. Cause I think I'm getting stir crazy. Stir crazy. Starting to get to me. Get to me. Think I'm getting stir crazy. Cause I know I don't feel right. Waking up to fall asleep at night. Saturday feels like Monday. Then if someone calls and asks, are you okay? I'll say, yeah, yeah, yeah.
podcast is mixed by Studio 44, Studio 44 CLE. If you have any audio needs, make sure you go to Studio 44 CLE. They can stream, they can do video work. He can, or they, as in he as in Jay Sparrow, from Studio 44 CLE, can record your band. He can be your band if needed. So any audio needs, any recording endeavors you have that you want to make sound dope, make sure you go to Studio 44 CLE. And as always, if you can like, subscribe, rate, review the podcast on any of the podcast platforms. We're now on Instagram and the Twitter, trying to get those things going, as well as Spotify and Apple and all the other podcasting platforms. Without further ado, Klashing Black. Does help having someone to look at while you're talking to them. Cool. All right, well, we'll jump right into it if you guys are good.
Sure. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so Klashing Black, you guys, it's been through a few iterations before it became what it is now, right? Mm-hmm. And Kane, you were more of a metal guy to start off, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
So... Hold on, let me turn this up a little. How did one of a metal origin come to this beautiful pop music that I'm hearing now?
So when we were, I think in 6th grade, we started playing stuff together. We would just play kind of any song we could pull off. Yeah. But then we kind of separated like our musical tastes and stuff. So I was listening to a lot of like classic metal, Metallica, Iron Maiden, Megadeth. I was also listening to like Guns N' Roses, and then Kyle was listening to like Justin Timberlake and Coldplay and all this, but we were always in a band together. And we kind of just played a bunch of covers of those songs. But then, and I used to do that thing where if any song was soft or something, I'd be like, oh, this song's weak or whatever. Yeah. Just like this macho man thing. And then in 2011 or 12, we went and saw Coldplay live. Yeah. And I liked like one song, but I would never admit it. Like I was like, ugh. And then I went to this concert and was like just blown away by their live show. And sometimes I think it takes a minute to get like a certain song, but then you see it live and you're like, oh, I get what they're going for. And then I kind of just became a fan of them overnight. And then I just slowly, it just opened me up to all types of music. And so then we just started making whatever we wanted rather than trying to like fit it in a certain category.
It's super interesting how like a performance or seeing something come alive and then be presented to you is received differently. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it's almost like sometimes the audio format just kind of like, because there's so much and it fits, it's so genre-tized into like, it's almost like how people identify who they are in a weird way. Like, I'm a punk guy. I can't listen to, but there's nothing more punk than a punk that likes, you know, Britney Spears. That's the most punk there is. But it's the type of genre, like when genres start to name themselves within the genre, like this is a funk song, we getting funky, or like the blues song that sings about being blues guy, or the country song that sings about being country. It almost takes the whole thing that was good about this subsect of music and like monopolizes it in such a way. And it's interesting when that becomes clear and it doesn't matter. I don't know. So that's really cool because like I was trying to do a deep dive on you guys and like I was like, whoa, this guy's rocking a Megadeth shirt with like this sick like spiky warlord guitar.
Yes, yeah. It's strange like how that happens because you never think that your taste is going to change. That I never thought my taste was going to change when I was like in 10th grade. I'm like, this is who I am forever for some reason. And then it just, something happens sometimes and it changes. And, we just slowly, like now the music we make, it's kind of like a Spotify playlist in the sense, like, it's just whatever we think, like whatever light kind of comes out. So if you listen to an entire album, sometimes there are a bunch of different types of songs rather than like one vibe the whole time, you know?
Yeah, no, it bounces everywhere, especially with the last release you guys have on Spotify. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird, that identifying thing. Like, I think that the thing that you identify with in that genre comes out in everything, and you start to realize everyone has that kind of like, it's almost like the underdog mentality. Like, oh, this is my thing versus the world, and like, that's everyone. Everyone likes that story, or everyone likes that mindset, and like, it's sometimes easier to find in genres that are like clearly rough, you know what I mean? Like, or clearly like sticking out. Like,
yeah. And it's funny because, like, you know, like he said, we started out metal and we evolved towards alternative and then ended up at like making pop type music. But I feel like we've come full circle in regards to what we listen to.
Yeah.
Like, we were coming back from playing 3 hours of laid back acoustic music in like around Cleveland area, and we were listening to Master of Puppets on the way back. So it's just like a full circle thing. Like, we listened to a Lord album and then changed it to Metallica. So
yeah,
it's cool that we now can, throughout that whole journey of it, can appreciate bits and pieces from every corner of it. So
find the metal and Lord, like, you know what I mean? It's whatever you identify with that makes music appealing. You find that kind of within all these other genres. Like, know who's metal as fuck? Thelonious Monk. That dude's metal as shit. And you're like, what? And then you learn his story. You're like, oh yeah, that dude. You know what I mean? It's a weird perspective, and the more you dive into in art, music, painting, whatever it is, you find that in like so many other people, and it's a beautiful thing because you are continuously growing and appreciating someone else's story, and then it feeds into what you do. And like, I don't know, that's awesome because like learning that you guys are metal, from what I heard, was like, what? But made sense, you know what I mean? Like, so you guys kind of started playing in 2011 more together seriously. Is that where we're picking up on, or like, is this a thing?
We kind of started doing more gigs around then.
Okay.
So like playing covers still, but a couple hours of gigs, and like you know, just playing as a band. We had 3 other members, and it was just like classic garage band, you know, type scenario. But in 2015, it was after we got out of high school, we were like, okay, we can actually do this with the hopes of it becoming a career someday, you know. And then we started really harping on original material. And then that went through a couple iterations as well with a couple different people as other band members. And then in 2017 is when we kind of figured out that it's hard to put somebody else in our relationship, you know, because we've literally been together since we were born.
Ever.
So so like it's just, we realized that what we've got is hard to add another chemical into the mix. So 2017 is when we put out the little EP, which was the first thing as a duo, and then since then we've just been working on our craft as a duo. So
gotcha. It's interesting, like when you develop a musical connection with somebody, and like with you guys, it's everything, you know, your family, you know what I mean?
Right.
But there's like this thing when you, even like neurotypically or neuroscience wise, there's like when you sing with someone, there's this chemical called serotonin release that's only like released when like you are in love with somebody, and like but it also happens when you sing with somebody. Like it's a neural connection that happens too, a neurochemical reaction that you have when you have this musical connection with someone as well. And that's hard to develop, especially when you're writing original stuff, and like, you know, when he does that, I gotta go here, or he added an extra verse, you know, just little things like that build up this like strong like relationship, and it's hard to integrate someone who doesn't get those like little intricacies, and someone's really got to stick through to like develop that with you, with anyone. They're with Sea Level, with my band, it's always been me and Cody, and I've been playing with him since he was like 12 and I was 15. It's not as it's not as long as how you guys have been playing together, but sure. He knows when I add a verse, he's like, fuck, he's like, and I can't expect anyone else to like put up with my shit. Yeah, I don't know if it's more of that or it's more of this cool music connection.
Sure. Yeah, it's like the guys who have been in the band like throughout the years, we love those guys. Like, we would hang out with them and shoot the shit any day, but like I feel like from their point of view, there might also be like a thought of like, I'm not contributing because we're so in sync together, Kane and I. So it's like, it's probably really hard from that angle getting into that mix. So
yeah, because we were always just like, like I would write something, like one of our songs that we wrote, he just came up with this effect like on a synth or whatever. Yeah. I'm horrible at piano, but I was sitting over at the piano and I played this like melody that like a piano player wouldn't come up with because they actually know how to play. And we started just going back and forth on lyrics. So like I would sing a line, he would sing a line, and it's like when you're doing that, and we listen to a lot of the same music together now. So like we'll listen to songs in the car. A recent thing that happened. So we're recording new music right now, and we were listening to this One Republic song, and this is really nerdy, but it had an acoustic guitar in it. Yeah. But what was cool is it had two, and they each were playing opposite rhythms, so it was like constant motion or whatever.
Was it like syncopated? Like one was on the hand? Okay.
Yes. And so we were listening to it in the car, and I was like, dude, that's cool how they're doing that, and we talked about it, and then I think a couple days later we were adding acoustic to one of our songs, and I was just like, hey, let's do that One Republic thing that we heard. And he's like, oh yeah. And he gave me another track, and then we did the thing that we like had heard. Like, so we'll take little techniques from that we like just hear, and we both know what the other's talking about because we were listening to it together. Yeah. And it's hard to like force that, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Or I imagine that's like the headache for every producer. You know what I mean? Like someone comes in with the band of like, they've been through the ruts together. They know exactly what they're going for. And they're like, no, make it sound dirtier, but clean. And you know what I mean? Like that. So really understanding that and experiencing that together, that's like next level stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and it with like producing techniques, that's really interesting. I've heard some One Republic stuff, but I haven't like depicted it. And what's cool with like pop stuff, that's kind of where the art happens. More like experimental stuff is going on in the recording. I mean, along with the music, you know what I mean? But like, it seems with that style, like in particular, producing and like, in the studio work is like on another level. And I don't know if it's like a budget thing or if it's just more time thinking about how that's going to be put out. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Because, like, some pop stuff can be surface level and content, but like when you really hone in on what's going on behind like a voice, like a vocal track, well, even on the vocal track, like like Ariana Grande stuff is just like next level production. Like, when you listen to that stuff, it's just like, holy crap! Like, how did they think of that? And how long did that take? And like, why are they doing that? I love it, but why? Like, how did they get there? Just a lot of cool stuff. So
it's weird because like how did they think of that? That's the thing. Like, how did they think to add like a syncopated guitar? You know, it's really going to fill this up. And then they just come with that and like come up with that idea, and it does. Like, that's what gets I don't know. Like with the music stuff, you can be like, oh, okay, well, he thought of that because that scale fits over that chord. You know what I mean? Like you can dissect it a little bit more as a musician, but like when it comes to like producing and stuff, it's like, fuck, there's Ableton's endless. You know what I mean? Like GarageBand's endless. There's so much stuff you can do with like that's in your phone.
Well, like he's Kane's like music theory guy. Like he went to school for that, and he knows how everything technically should work. And I not like that. I taught myself how to play piano. Yeah. So I'm from a different mindset with all this stuff. So, and then more songs now are using like a 1975 song. He was like, I just used a voice memo of me clapping. Yeah. And now it's on a song that gets like billions of streams, you know? So that's another thing that's, I feel like is going on with music right now is like, a lot more people I feel like are using homemade sounds and like making them in legit songs. And so we've kind of tried to do that. Mm-hmm. There's one song that we're working on right now that I heard something in my head. So I'm like, I'm going to go try it. I went upstairs and in our basement, we have a little home studio. So we went upstairs and I just took my phone and turned the tap on, and I put a glass of water underneath it, and I just captured a drop of water into the glass, and now that's every other snare hit on the song. That's awesome. So, it's just like little weird stuff like that it ends up being cool, but you just gotta try it first. Yeah. So I felt like an idiot just with my phone, like turning on the tap just right so I could get that perfect drop, you know?
I wondered what he was doing too. Like I saw him up there because you didn't really tell me what you were going to do, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then I could see him, and he's like,
okay. But that's some Yellow Submarine shit. You know what I mean? Like the Beatles were like recording a tub, like to get like. I think it's in a way taking all the sounds around us, and the only thing that's not making the music is the lack of organization, right? So finding ways to capture them and organize them like that. Yeah. And technology makes it so anything can be recorded anywhere, and then you can fuck with it, and you can make it sound cool even if it doesn't. So
right. Big thing that like inspired me to kind of think outside the box was I heard the story of the Beatles. They wanted a dirty guitar sound, so they took their amp and stabbed a hole in it, you know, pretty much broke the amp to give it that sound. And it's like at a certain point, you just have unlimited opportunities. You just got to try it.
Yeah. And that's the art of it, right? Like anything can work. It's how you organize it. And with how everything is at the palm of your hand now, and you can find a way to manipulate it and like distribute. I don't know. It's endless, and it's endlessly inspiring in the same way. Yeah. As well as endlessly frustrating.
Yes.
Because what do I do? There's so much shit.
Right. Yeah. It's like, how do you reel yourself in? Sure.
You guys have a really unique writing style. Because like, I was trying to figure it out listening through the record that you guys have out and the few singles you have out. And now the two singles you put out are going to be intertwined with the next release, right? Or are they just standing by themselves?
They're their own little thing. It's kind of pandemic inspired. Yeah. So we kind of wanted to just bottle our thoughts on how last year was, and
exciting and eventful. Everyone knows.
Yeah, just something else. So yeah, we kind of wanted to just put those two out and have them be their own little thing. We didn't even plan on doing that, obviously, until we were stuck in our respective homes, and I was getting stir crazy, and he was saying things and fearing things.
Do you guys live near each other? Do you live together?
We live about 40 minutes away from each other.
Okay. Yeah.
Where are you guys at?
I'm in Fostoria, Ohio, and he's in Bowling Green, Ohio.
Oh, okay. That makes okay. Yeah. But anyway, Stir Crazy's catchy as fuck. Side note, that's a very catchy tune. Because I noticed you guys play a lot, like at Howard's, in the Viaduct, some Tiffin areas. Did you go to Tiffin, Kane, for music? Okay.
So we kind of grew up in Tiffin. Like our first house that we lived in was there and stuff. And then, we've played the Viaduct before and like a couple other a couple other spots there. And yeah, I went to Owens in Toledo, actually, just for a music performance thing.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, we kind of play all over. We play in Findlay as well and that kind of thing. Howard's is one of the only spots near us. Howard's and like Ottawa Tavern in Toledo are kind of some of the only places I think that you can do all original sets or whatever. A lot of the other places like in Findlay are more cover gigs and that kind of thing. So to do your own stuff, we usually end up having to drive, like to Cleveland or Columbus, that kind of thing. I know one of the first out of town shows I think was at Coda.
Okay. With Apostle Jones?
We played there the second time with Apostle Jones. I forget the first time.
There was a 2-piece with us. I can't really remember.
Yeah, it's hard to remember.
I love that place.
That place is so cool.
It is rad. It's like leaving your basement to play in a basement.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the back wall.
A nice basement.
Say what?
But like a nice basement.
Yeah, a nice basement with a kitchen.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Dakota's rad, and I really hope they're doing all right with all this. And same with Howard's. Howard's is a cool spot. Sea Level's played at Howard's a few times. Last time I think I played at Howard's with the Robin Blake Sound Experiment. I was filling in guitar with them. But Howard's is a cool setup, man. Like, it's kind of like, have you guys ever played the 5 o'clock in Cleveland? 5 o'clock lounge? Okay. You know how Howard's is kind of like set up where you like walk in one end and there's the bar, and you round the corner, then there's the stage. So if you want to be like, I don't care about the band, I'm on the bar end. The 5 o'clock's like that. Like, and it's cool because like when everyone's really into it, you're like, oh sweet, one end's packed, everyone's here listening to us. But when they don't care, you're like, no, come to the other side. I know you can hear me.
Yeah, it's like one of those situations where you can visually tell if people get shit, which is a blessing and a curse, Yeah. I mean, it's good that they have the choice, I guess.
Yeah. And it's interesting, like, because out that way, like, our Sea Level's original drummer went to Tiffin, like, and before, so we were kind of bouncing, doing some things out there and doing some things. He would come here, but after a while, it ended up we just split ways for a bit. And but Tiffin's a real interesting town as far as like some of the music stuff that goes around. Like the Viaduct's a really cool spot, and Howard's is really cool. And there's like this unique like little sub hub of stuff you can do. Like I don't know if the Viaduct is as much as an original place as Howard's, because the night I went there was original groups. Only reason I was there.
Yeah,
but like
when we played, it was mostly original, but we had to fill like an hour and a half.
Gotcha.
So we just had to play a couple covers just out of necessity. But like the Viaduct and Howard's kind of give me the same vibe as like they've been there a long time. You go in and like some shit has gone down in there, but like it's just like a classic music venue,
Yeah.
Just you walk in and you're like, okay, this is like the green room looks like disgusting,
There's some stickers, there's some tags,
stickers everywhere. It all smells like piss. No, but Howard's in the past couple of years has really like cleaned the hell up. Like their stage now compared to when we first played there,
it's awesome.
Is like crazy. Like the light show there now.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I think they still have the P tub though, right? In Howard's, do they still have the piss tub? Like
I don't think so.
Okay, maybe it wasn't Howard's. Maybe I'm thinking of somewhere else. But
in a trough somewhere.
Yeah.
At a venue.
But it's interesting just because, like, I don't know. I feel like it's a college town and gets kind of a college crowd for both of those venues, right? And then it's got to be pretty dead when it's not like school time or summertime or whatever.
Yeah.
So that it has to be a constant fluctuation of like a scene that exists and then doesn't exist.
Right. Yep. And the other thing is like, we start playing at like midnight or whatever.
Oh, okay. So sick.
That seems late.
Yeah.
But when we're done packing our shit up, like the crowds of people walking on the sidewalk, like going, like just, they're out, you know? It's 1 a.m. It's just like it seems like we should be playing an hour later because like that's when everyone's out like doing shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's have you guys how far have you I know you've done some out of town travels. Have you ever played in New York?
We have not. No.
Okay, it's that same way. Like you get like a 11 o'clock set or a 10 o'clock set, you're like, it's all right, not too many people are going to hang out, and that ends up being like the shitty set. You want like the 2 o'clock set or some shit.
Right.
Like it just functions on another time. And I'm going to guess that might be like the college scene of it. But anyway, kind of the bounce back. You guys have an interesting writing styles initially, how I prompted this question. Then went down this rabbit hole. And like it's really cool that you can feed off each other in a way like where you're writing line by line. Has that always been the thing? Or has it been like one guy brings a song to the finished, what can you add to it?
So usually, actually, the back and forth thing happens less often.
Okay.
Because it's just when we're together, you know.
Yeah.
But usually, what happens is we both will like produce our own song just by ourselves. So, you know, usually the way it works, Kyle writes. Whenever he writes a song, it's already good. And he has them less frequently, whereas I'll write like 3 songs a week, and out of every 50 I write, like 2 are good. So I kind of operate under the just like churn out more and more songs as much as possible. So usually when I think I have something, I'll show it to him, and if he says, "Oh, that's cool," then I know that it sucks. And if he gets really excited, then I know that it's like good, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, and usually I'll send it to him, and then he'll put it on his computer once we get into like our studio space.
Yeah.
And then there, what we do is we swap out all the instruments that we want to make better, because it's just like I do really quick demos, like 2 to 3 hours, and it's done, and I just forget about it. And so we just add a bunch of other instruments to it, and then after that, then we take off all my crappy vocals that I put on and replace them with his, and we like kind of redo lyrics, make sure everything's working. And then from there is when it gets fun, I think, because then it's a process of like not second guessing everything, but making sure it's exactly what we want.
Yeah.
So like, is that snare like exactly what we want it to sound like? And then we'll go through like 50 snare drums.
Can you use some water drops?
Yeah, exactly. So, and then like lyrics and stuff we'll kind of swap out for something a little better that is singable for him, you know. Sometimes it bounces off of him differently than me, so I might write a lyric and he doesn't like connect with it. So sometimes we'll change stuff that way. And then vice versa, when he brings something in, I kind of, whoever's song it is, even though I consider it both of our songs, the other one kind of sits back first and lets the other one get to the end of their idea first. And then it's like, oh wait, how can we change this, you know?
Okay. Well, that's cool, because you give that, I think with music, it's really important, or anything, when you're recording it, you got to listen back and hear what other people are hearing. And it's easy to get caught up in how it feels. So that's a really cool like system you guys have, that you kind of trade off and sit back and hear it. So do you do like the 3 songs a week? Do you have like a regiment? Because that's pretty badass.
I kind of do.
Yeah.
Just if I have the time, you know. And like I said, most of them are crap.
But yeah, but it's the practice of it.
Yeah, it takes away the anxiety of like, oh, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing enough, whatever. And for me to get something good, I just have to get the crappy song out of my system, because a lot of times I'll have like a vibe in my head, like especially if I'm trying a new type of idea. Like when I first started writing like more pop songs, there are always like 5 warm-up pop songs to like one good one, where you're just testing out like a production technique or doing drums this way or whatever, and it's not natural at first.
Yeah.
And so then, you know, you practice it to make it just what you naturally would do, you know. And then eventually, it seems like once you let go of an idea, like you're not forcing it anymore, is when the good one comes. So whenever I'm like, I'm going to write a song that's so catchy, then it just sounds like
it sounds
lamb or something.
Yeah.
And then I'll forget about it. I'm like, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to do that. And then 3 days later, like one just pops in and it's exactly what I was looking for before. So it's almost like a way to practice for those situations.
Yeah. It's like practicing creativity. And I think that's really cool. I was talking with this drummer, Andrew Toy. He's a drummer out of DC, and he's coming out with this like experimental avant-garde record with all these cool like things that you don't play on drums put together, and like we were kind of like bringing up the idea of practicing creativity, and like everyone's got a different way to do that. And it's something you don't really think, like you think about practicing technique, you think about practicing your instrument, you think about gigs being kind of practice for handling, all these other things are kind of practice. But like, I think a lot of times creativity goes to the wayside and it's kind of like spur of the moment, which is cool. You know what I mean? Like you got to take in the put out, you got to be inspired to be like, I got a song, something shitty happened, or this is great, or whatever. And like those songs always, the inspiration and like usually fuels that song, but it's also important to have that, like, I spent forever writing these shitty songs. There's songs that didn't go anywhere. So when that does come, it's like you said, it just comes out. Like your brain's already in that like melodic, harmonic, connecting mode and just spits out something sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, with I don't write as many songs as he does, but
yeah,
my version of it is always I'm always like randomly thinking of lyrics and thinking of melodies. So like our one song Magic,
yeah, the
chorus is I thought that literally while I was peeing at work. Okay, that sounds cool. So then I went out, walked outside, went in my car and recorded it on my phone. And then I just built around that. And then for Stir Crazy, I was mowing my lawn or something. And I just, have an hour to do this thing. So I'm like mowing my lawn and it just pops in my head. And I keep singing it in my head so I don't forget it. And then with lyrics, if I think of a cool lyric, I just either keep saying it in my head or I write it down in my notes, So it's not like full-fledged write a song every day for me. It's more of like finding bits and pieces from wherever they come.
Yeah.
And just honing it in that way. So
it makes sense. Like when you're doing something that's like you're doing something right, like your brain, and you don't have to like think about what you're doing. It gives your brain, like if you're taking a shower, or if you're driving, right? Like at least for myself, that's when I find myself like figuring out the most shit. And if I get appropriately caffeinated, those ideas come really quick. And I'm like, yeah. Like the right level of like doing something. So I'm not like that. Relate to Kane, what you said about the anxiety of not doing it. I really relate to that because I get a lot of like, fuck, why am I outside enjoying the day? I should be working on the thing. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's just like, because you guys, you're real deal musicians. You hustle. You're doing the original gigs. You're doing the cover gigs. You're doing the groundwork, and like, and that's what I do. Like, and like, so I relate to that. And like, but you get that, I am my own employer. What the fuck am I not doing? You know what I mean? Like.
Right.
And then there's that like, fuck, I should be at least attempting to write something shitty, or I could be learning this song and figuring out what key works for me. You know what I mean? Like there's that thing, like, so to find the piece of it when you're doing something and you're like, well, took care of that anxiety. I'm busy. I'm driving. And then it allows your brain the calmness to be like, something cool.
Yeah. With us, we're recording more music right now. So like,
do you guys got a name for the release? Side note for the or is there not a title on the album yet?
If you want,
I mean, you're the one who.
Well, I think we can't tell you yet because we keep arguing on what the title's gonna be. So then, if I told you, it'd
TBA.
Be like, yeah, and then he'd be like, "What the heck, dude?"
And then it comes out and to be something different, and we start to promote this record that doesn't exist.
But when we're writing that stuff right now, so like when I sit down and like watch a Browns game, I'm like, why am I doing this? I need to be, because we're trying to finish this. But then like if I sit down and just like chill, then I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Yeah. So I feel that for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird, if anyone who's like a self-employed or live in the gig economy or does any type of work where they're in charge of their affairs, I think that's a thing. And then there's the tough balance of living the work and working to live, and like trying to find out which one you want to do. And there's no right or wrong answer, and it's always fluctuating for which one you do. And
so I feel like 2020 was a big punch in the gut for everybody, but for musicians, because, you know, like you were saying, you're playing gigs and stuff too. And it's like, when that gets kind of taken away, I feel like when you're busy, you can kind of distract yourself with being busy. Yeah, you know, you definitely have to think too much about like, am I not doing this right? Am I not doing this? But then I noticed for me, and I'm interested to hear if like you had the same thing. As soon as we stopped, all the self-doubt that I didn't know was there was just like, here I am. Like it just came up and I was like, oh no, okay, that was real, you know? So.
No, definitely. It would kind of like put the finicness of what you think matters, you know, not the finicness, the weakness of what you think matters to some degree, or the validity that it maybe doesn't. Because like you spend forever developing these connections with these established like venues and building this rapport with this club, and every Thursday these people come to eat that and see you guys, and you know what I mean, and like how much that can after a month just not exist. Like I don't know if you guys, I know you do constant like bar gigs and such, and which we'll put a pin in that, but like, do you guys like, have you ever hosted a mic night or done one of those type of gigs?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, like if you don't have that consistently, it crumbles. Like if you take the next Thursday off, the following Thursday, no one shows up, and then you're just rehearsing, and it sucks. Like, but it's so fine. And like the pandemic kind of crumbled some of those, like, those structures that they then brought out this, like how you're saying, this like self-doubt of, was I really good? Was it okay even? Like,
yeah.
What did you, personally, what I did was like, I got the time off. Like my day gig is I teach, as well as like playing in nursing homes and doing the bar gigs and hosting mic nights and then doing the original shit, doing the hustle, right? And doing music or doing any creative outlet, that's what you do. You find the 90 things you do. You essentially try to live in New York in a place you can afford. You know what I mean? Like just working a million jobs. But like, I like just gave myself a strict schedule. Like I'm going to wake up, work out. I'm going to work on, understanding these jazz progressions and trying to play over the Coltrane changes, you know what I mean? And then I'm going to change the key. And then just like, I gave myself this regimen of shit to do, like work on the banjo, work on the mandolin, work on the piano, work on drums, work on vocal stuff, write for an hour. Oh shit, it's 4:00. I can hang out now. And I would do that every day for the first, until school started back up and I started working again. And like, but I've always kind of had like every morning I do like a routine like that, just a maintenance routine, which is different than practicing creativity, because you know what I mean, like it's a different thing. You can't just jump into it. You gotta, it's hard to practice creativity. But like that's what I did. Like I just kind of buckled in and just kind of like to avoid that self-doubt.
Yeah.
They'd be like, you know what, I'm still doing something. What did you guys do?
So I do the same, kind of similar what you said you do. I teach on the side.
Okay, cool.
I do like private lessons and that kind of deal. And the same thing happened to me. Luckily, we were able to like go online, but yeah, I went from 40 students to like 8 over the course of a week, you know?
Right, quick.
And so then I did this same exact, which I'm like this anyway, but I did the same exact thing where it's like, I wake up at this time, I do this, and it just, you know, like you said, and then it's, before you know it, it's 4:00, and then I would teach, and then I'd be done, you know? Yeah. And, that's how I kind of did it. Your job.
Yeah, I do web design on the side. Okay. So lucky enough to be able to work.
You're fine, yeah.
Yeah, I was.
That's sick.
And, you know, now the more I think about it, I'm like, I didn't realize how lucky I was that I could still work. Like, yeah, it would have been cool to just sit and do nothing, but like some people literally could not go to work. I can do anything remotely, so I was really lucky in that. And then being able to work from home right when I turn off that part of the job, I can just turn around and I have my keyboard here and just work on that stuff. So it worked out pretty well for me, and I'm really grateful for that. So
was it, and you were ahead of it because you've worked with like the online stuff. Like everyone was catching up, trying to figure that shit out. So you had the leg up. Like,
right. I was used to working from home when I would, you know, like on a gig day, I'll work a half day at home and just, you know, do what I got to do. But some people had to have that learning curve, and I was lucky enough not to have that either. Yeah.
You're like, no, I know what connection's going to work with Zoom. I got this. You know what I mean?
Wi-Fi.
I know about original sound. Come on. But that was one thing. Okay, so all this like but the crumbling of like the standard of how you do things opened up like these new doors to find ways to do the same things. And then became celebrated. Like, oh, dog walker finds a way to walk dogs with masks. So like, you know what I mean? Like, just fill in the blank, whatever it is. Like, it started to become celebrated again. And like, it's cool because people are trying to find ways to be innovative. Like, the dogs are all in bubbles. Like, whatever it is, like, whatever it is, like, it opened up this like thing. Now we have to cut the covert corners in a way and learn how to rework things. And like, I don't know musically how that panned out for you guys, but like here, like with Michelle Gall, have you came across Mimi Arden and those guys? Okay. She started this virtual showcase thing where it's singer-songwriter in the round type deal, and you'd pay $5 to get the Zoom code, and it all went to the musicians. Like Maddie Finn and Ray Flanagan did one, and they like raised like $600. Like it was ridiculous. Yeah, and then it got picked up by Brightwinter, and like and like so they just started doing this. Everyone just started supporting each other in this weird way in this amazing way that maybe wouldn't or would have happened before, and like so everyone just started to find these new ways to do it, and it's kind of exciting because it leads to things you normally wouldn't do. Like, in like, what's a record release look like now?
Yeah,
I don't know. Exactly. You know what I mean? Usually it's like you have that big show, and then you find some ways to trickle it later. But fuck.
Yeah, we got the chance to do more like live stream stuff, and it's an interesting comparison to a live show because like with the live stream between each song, I can see who's watching, who's commenting with the exact person, and I'll shout them out, you know, because I know what their name is. Whereas if I'm at a show, it's just a bunch of people sitting there. If I talk too much at a show, I'll start talking in circles and sound like an idiot. And
is that something that happens?
Yeah. If I talk more than like 10 seconds at a show, I just like get way too personal, and it gets weird. Like, what did I do yesterday? I just do some stupid shit when I start talking, so I try to keep that on the minimum. But with the live stream, I feel like it's way more comfortable because everyone's just watching at their leisure, you know. Yeah. And the fact that I can see like if people comment and ask a specific question, that's the other thing too. If someone's curious about something, they can literally ask me in the comments and I can answer them. So it's that like instant gratification too. So that's been cool.
No, it is. It's almost more personal in a way than being in person, which is kind of a mind fuck.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like too, at least this is what I think. The music industry seems kind of binary in the sense that you have these musicians over here who they do like the live show thing. Like, they just play gigs, gig. And then you have this other side of like the internet musicians who do this thing. And with both of those, you have like your good things and the downfalls. So like, I feel like for live musicians, sometimes the recording of stuff, like the production isn't as as solid because they're not spending as much time on that with their original songs. Whereas, you know, like the internet people, their production's amazing, but they can't play a live show to save their life, you know?
Yeah.
Like I've seen artists who their first ever show was like on music awards. It was their first performance, and it was
because they weird. Yeah.
Success online, and they performed, and it was not good because they'd never done it before. So I think that this whole like pandemic happening maybe will make people have like a mixture of both, which is something we want to do. Like, still, you know, people should still take advantage of like the live stream stuff and being able to, you know, just work on your production and push like Spotify stuff and things like that. But also make sure that you have an awesome live show.
Yeah.
For when you get the opportunity to play in front of a bunch of people, you can actually like deliver. So I hope that they kind of combine a little bit more because they seem kind of separate right now.
That's interesting point. Because you're right. You can only put so much effort in one way, and there's this kind of the balance is key for a lot of things, and that's a lot of successful groups have like this balance of like they've played it out enough, and then they, you know what I mean, or they recorded it and they played it out enough, or if it's too studio. How am I going to get those sounds live when it's just the two of us, right? Like, who's going to cue up the other thing while you're doing that? Like,
Yeah, that's been something we had to figure out because up until 2017, we'd been playing with 3 other people. So, you know, you can do this part, you can do this part, you can do this part. But then when it was just us, we're like, okay, how do we do this? And we found a way to, like, balance it. We're doing a lot of shit at once, but we figured out a good way in our live show to make it a good balance between electronic and like real live playing.
Recording wise, it sounds like that. Like I think you guys do it like it does. Like listening to I want to get into a few songs in a minute, but listening to some of the songs, like you can hear this beautiful guitar arrangement coming through, but it's padded with all this space and like these cool electronic, or not electronic, but studio added things, and it makes this whole atmosphere to like what may have been just like an acoustic guitar. You know what I mean? Which is what's really unique about you guys. What did that process look like, dwindling down from 3 people? Like, are you looping stuff? Do you got samples ready? Like, I noticed you got like a keyboard stack behind you. Is it like, or maybe it's 2 and some cool red looking thing on top? But is it working with MIDI stuff on one, or what did that process kind of boil into to some degree?
So before we were running we had just a click track and a backing track, and that would be running through Ableton.
Okay,
and we also have a MIDI light track that would run through there, and we have an interface that connects the computer to our stage lights.
Okay, so cool.
Yeah, we have a whole light show that's in sync to all of our music, and that is like one of the really big parts of our live show. Like we tell them, turn off all the lights in this room, because we got our show. We throw a little fog on it, and it really just elevates the whole vibe of the place. And
it definitely does.
Because that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to like make people like go, holy crap, like this is cool. So and we try to put as little on the backing tracks as we can because we want to play most of it live. So then I store my sounds in main stage, and then he's got main stage on his laptop on the other side of the stage, so he can play some key parts when he's not playing guitar parts. And then we've got 2 toms right behind us in the middle, so we can each play drums.
Oh, that's cool.
In the back there.
Yeah. And with the lights, I bet that's sick.
Yeah, it's a lot of jumping back and forth and stuff, but keeps us busy.
And like drums are such, we don't have a drummer.
Yeah.
And a lot of duos will have like 21 Pilots, the Black Keys are 2 that come to mind. They have a drummer and then their vocalist, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of don't care if there are tracks because drums are so visual that you're just watching the drummer a lot of the time, especially if they're an entertaining drummer. Whereas when you don't have one, you have to have some sort of visual element so that people can latch onto. So that's why we did the light show, because we're like, we want something that's as visual or like more visual than having a drummer. So it's not just us standing here playing, you know, and adding the live drums to the mix where we can both go over and play the drums. Like we add sections to the songs live that aren't in the recording, where we both will get off of our normal instrument, kind of walk over the center and like do like a drum break, just to have something like more entertaining for people to watch. That feels more visceral than just like our keys having like a drummer there.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of you expect to see the drummer, right? You expect to see that somehow being creative, or like if you're looping stuff, you expect to see them tap out the beat before you hear it. You know what I mean? It's there's so much of that visual thing that makes certain things like just kind of going back to Coldplay. Like there's something like when you see it happen that resonates more with you, and like part of that is the whole thing, right? And like I think that having a light show, that's like there's so much that goes into what you guys just described. Like there's so much of rehearsal that goes into being able to do that for every fucking gig, to play to, even if it was just a recorded track, to play to it and be ready to rock on that. It's almost harder than like having the drummer who can follow you when you fuck up. Like,
yeah. And that was a learning curve for us, because, you know, before, like, if one of us is off, we can just like look at each other like, hey, let's like visually get on the same beat, you know. But like, we kind of had to learn how to stick to a structure, and we got to the point in 2019 where it was like starting to be muscle memory. Like, we had 5-6 songs in a set list that were in like the same order, and we'd play those, and we just knew, like, we could feel like what was coming, and the transition from one song to the next was pretty easy. Gotcha. So
did it stay? I guess the only problem would be like it would stay set order or something. Like the deviation would be a little tough because it's kind of preset. That'd be the only thing.
Yeah, we could kind of move them around. We tried not, because once we found a good flow, it's kind of like putting together an album. Like you wanted to kind of go from one to the next in an easy way that kind of makes sense. But like once we got a lot of the original songs kind of stayed in the same spot, it was, you know, if we would throw like 1 or 2 covers in there just to like, you know, feed people's need to hear something they already know, you know? So switching those out, that was mostly what we would do.
That's cool. Because I think as far as like when you go into a show, you want to at least know, okay, fuck, we're going to start with that, we're going to end with that. You know what I mean? Having that structure, and like it makes easier for you, especially with like how on point you would have to be to do all the things you guys are doing. And like, but then having room to be like, okay, now we're going to cover Marcy's Playground, or okay, we're going to cover whatever the fuck, and add that in there and be able to put your own twist on it. Like, but that's interesting. That had to be, like I was saying, a shit ton of work to boil that all down and then figure out the light system. Like, but
initially it was like a ton of work, but once we got like that foundation set up, then it was just like,
okay,
it was tedious, but we kind of got into a groove of it.
It's actually harder to set up the stuff than it is at this point. We even actually, I think this was before, actually we played Coda one time, and then we had a day between gigs, and we were going to Columbus the day after that, and we had some like, it was our first time ever. So we bought our own digital mixer, and we bring our own mics, so like the sound guy doesn't have to do anything at all, because we just had a couple experiences, not at Coda, at just other places that I'm not going to mention, where the sound guy was just like not cool at all. Because we would say, you know, we need this, this, and this, and they're like, "Are you kidding me?" Because they're used to like a rock band, like, oh, we just
ask for shit.
And so we just got our own mixer and stuff. And I remember one night, instead of practicing the set list, because we were like, we pretty much have that down now.
Yeah.
For like an hour and a half, we practiced setting up and tearing down. So we could.
That's badass.
so we could do it as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So we literally like packed all the stuff up and then walked down the stairs like we were coming into the gig and are like, all right, set the timer, go. And we had to do it in under like 10 minutes or whatever. So it's like,
that's sick. Yeah. Like, I think, well, that just, it kind of speaks to the level of like professional you guys are. I think you guys are the only people who have ever told me that. And I think that's the coolest thing ever. Like, especially if you're going to come in and you're going to have a specific thing that requires a lot of attention to detail, being ready to come in there, putting the punk in punctual and knocking everything out and being, and oh, next band, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's just, I think it speaks to the merit of like you guys as musicians and like how professional. That's badass.
Yeah, because that's the thing with like playing at these shows with, you know, you got 3 bands, starts at 10, supposed to end by 2, you know, they leave 15 minutes in between one band and next. So like that one band has a full drum set that they need to take off. So by the time they're done, we probably have 5 minutes to get going.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we just had to like really like, I think we got it down to about 5-6 minutes.
I was about to ask. That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's the other thing of being a duo now. Before we had 6 people, 6 people put their own shit up. And now we have to do it all. So, yeah.
Well, it makes, I know it makes sense that you would have to hustle it more because there's less of you. What's faster, tearing up or setting down, or setting up or tearing down?
Ooh.
Is it both about 5?
I think actually setting up now is faster because we know exactly what we're doing. But tear down, there's another band trying to come on as you're tearing.
Okay.
I wish they would just do it like you wait till the band's all the way off and then you go on, because it would actually take less time, even though it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
But
no, for sure.
Usually what happens is someone going like, oh, you need help, bro? And then moving your one thing and you're like, oh, I was going to get that after I got this. And then it's like this whole deal. And it's just, for me, I would get way more nervous because like we would practice, you know, you practice the songs all day long and you come down. So then that's how I get not nervous about stuff is I practice it until I feel like I got it. And then I practice it more until I'm like, I don't need to touch this song again ever. And so then the fear of playing a crappy show is kind of gone. Yeah. Because you're like, if I play a crappy show, it was meant to happen because I put this much time into it. It's not going to be, it's going to be because of something else, you know? So the thing that would give me the most anxiety was setting up and tearing down. I would get like butterflies in my stomach because I'm like, we've gotten our sets cut short before from like mean sound guys. And so I was like, I don't want that to happen again. I don't like this confrontation or whatever. So we just practiced that. So then it took away so all you had to really worry about was like, can I put on the best show? Like, I don't want to start being on stage and I'm like shaky because I was trying to hurry up and like frantically, you know, and then catch your breath before you actually start playing. I want to like be calm when I go up there, you know, and be able to do the show.
That's beautiful. I think that's like taking this negative thing that constantly happens and taking a positive route to better it. That's an amazing strategy to do it. And like, you're right. There is that anxiety of like, okay, I got to set up. If not, their crowd's going to leave and they won't see us. And then we're going to play to nobody. There's that too. So on top of like, why won't my pedals turn on? Fuck, what did I do? I didn't finish plugging in the thing because I was rapidly trying to tune everything or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like, especially with a complicated setup or you more involved like you guys have, or like it's easy to fuck one little thing up and be like, why isn't it working?
Dude, I did that pedal thing one time where we were playing I forgot to turn on my amp, so I thought something was wrong with like other stuff. So anyway, all my pedals look normal.
Yeah, they're all lit up.
Yeah, and so this big part in the song is coming in, and I didn't play until like a minute into the song. So it was when we had other guys, everyone was jamming. Yeah. And then I go like this and like hit this big chord, and I did it and no sound happened, and I had to go like this and then go and then like turn around turn the amp on like an idiot. And then I was just like embarrassed the rest of the song. I'm like, I can't even get into this anymore.
That's funny. But it's little things like that because there's this band from Austin, Texas called Full Service. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. They're like, they don't play anymore, but they're an amazing group. And when they came through, me and Coda have become buddies with them. And Hogue runs a studio now and does mastering work and mastered Sea-Level stuff. But they have this concept of the 2%, and they all have these tattoos with 2%. And we're like, whoa, 2% of what? What's that mean? You know what I mean? And then they explain, like, well, you do 2% of what music is as a career is actually playing it. 98% is everything else.
That's
and I was like,
such a point. Oh my gosh.
Right? But you live for that 2%. I think that's how they said it. We live for the 2%. The 2% makes the 98% worth it. Like, and that's the booking, the setting up, the sound people that suck, the writing the songs, the arguments over what should be written, and like then the actual playing.
We talk about that all the time, but I've never heard it explained like that. But yeah, we always say, like, you know, the transport to the gig, the setting up, tearing down, the logistics of everything is like the worst thing ever. But once you hear the sound guy say you're good to go, give you the thumbs up, and those lights go down, and like for us now we hear the click track going and intro music, then we're like in the zone, like ready, because it's just like that's what you wait for. And
it's only 2%, but it's fucking sick. So.
Yeah, exactly.
It's worth it. Was it kind of shift gears? I want to talk a little bit about some of your guys' songs. There's some that really resonated with me, and I wanted to kind of learn maybe a little bit more about the history or the origin of them. One of which being Playground. Okay. Like, I thought that was such a beautiful song, and I thought that just the idea of trying to identify yourself and not venturing too far. So, like, where'd that come from? Is there a cool origin for that, or is it just...
Yeah. Thanks for saying that, by the way. But I was pumping gas one time.
Yeah.
And I was near a school, and I just heard like kids playing on the playground, and I think that day I was having like thoughts of just your classic, I got to do this, I got to do this, all this on the checklist. And I heard the kids playing, and I was like, man, that was cool when I do that. And when you're a kid, you don't realize like what adult life is going to really be like.
Yeah.
Because it kind of gets glorified into something different at times. And so then I just, all I had in my head was like, oh, a title Playground would be cool. So then I went home and I grabbed my acoustic guitar and I just wrote the whole song as like an acoustic guitar ballad or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was what it was originally. And I brought it to Kyle and I was like, hey, I have this like acoustic ballad that we should put on the album. He listened to it. He's like, it's cool. But then he was like, I think I should put drums on it. And I'm like, I don't think it needs drums. And he's like, just like leave the room for like 30 minutes. And I was like, okay, fine. We do sometimes if the other's trying to get in the way, we just make the other person leave and we just trust each other. So I just left the room. And then I came back and like when the drums come in that song, he played like the beginning part for me. That's just all acoustic guitar. Yeah. And then the drum came in and I like made that like ugly face where it's really good.
Yeah. like the stank face.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, what? This is awesome. And it just like, it took it to like a new level for me.
Gotcha. That's the vibe that kind of comes off is like this longing for like simplicity. Right. And just like, maybe that's why I like, because I work with kids, I was like, oh, that's a goodie. At least it resonated with me with that. And that's a beautiful like trust that you guys have within each other to be able to like, all right, I'll give you space. I'm gonna let you do it. I'm gonna let you. It's like the Kanye. I'm gonna let you finish, but Beyonce, no, like, and you just leave. Like, I feel if more people had that type of like trust and like stuff with just like their relationships in general. There'd be a lot more healthier marriages. Like,
that's such how it feels. It's like we're business married, and we're others too. But yeah, like it's a tall task to let somebody kind of deconstruct something that, especially that song, the subject matter, it's really personal, you know, and it's got like a lot of heart behind it, and. I was just like, let's add some organs and trap bass on it.
But it was cool. It made it Klashing Black and made it you guys, you know, which is this cool blend of like, it's songwriting and like electronic. It's a really cool, like, is that kind of where the name came from? Because this name's been around for a minute.
Yeah, we've always gone by that. I mean, besides we were trying to, right when we were starting, when we were thinking of names, we never actually went by anything else. But Kane, he had a girlfriend in middle school, and this is when he only wore black because he thought he was black. Yeah, he this was his metal ass all black everything type vibe, but he was wearing 2 different shades of it. Yeah. She goes, wearing Klashing Black, and he goes, that'd be a cool band name. But then we switched the C to a K because our dad said if we did that, then it would be the same initials as our names.
Whoa!
Because both of us are KB.
Yeah. Damn.
That's the reason I always want to hear when I tell that story.
That's great. I didn't even think about that. That's really cool because
yeah. So we sometimes, you know, once people start getting to know us, they just call us KB.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our nickname for the band too. So
okay. Well, when they say KB, are you both like, huh? Because that doesn't really help.
I think in our minds, KB means the band.
Gotcha.
So like, well, show them your. Oh yeah, sure. We made a little logo for it.
Okay. Okay.
But.
And like, even if no one bought those and you guys just had to rep them, it'd be fitting because of your initials. And okay, I get it.
Yeah,
that's fucking awesome.
Right.
One other tune I wanted to ask about was, it kind of falls in the same realm, if I feel, of a playground, was Dinner Table. Because that with the structure, right? I thought writing wise, that was really well done. Like, you're taking this thing this inanimate object. Fuck, I can't talk today. But right, like the idea of like this dinner table and like throughout the years, what it sees and what it welcomes and how it always is this same thing, right? Like an idea that when you eat with someone, you're sustaining life with this person. You know what I mean? Like as a society, we do that a lot. When you go on a date, you usually go out to eat, and like you don't think of it as a deeper thing other than like an easy thing to do and meet someone, but you're sustaining your existence through fueling yourselves, and like it's this weird like thing I think that goes back to like cave times. I don't know, but like this biological thing we don't really examine. But we are sustaining our existence, and it becomes this thing, and it's a social thing. Like, we do this with family. We do this, like, every Christmas there's a dinner. Every Thanksgiving, that's a better one. I don't know why I didn't say that first. You know what I mean? But, like, there's this like, the idea of, like, what's supporting that, you know what I mean? And what that would see and what that brings in through, like, one person's lifetime or even a segment of, I thought was a really cool perspective to take, and like just like how it moves from a kid to bringing the first girl home. You know what I mean? I thought that was a fucking rad song. I don't know if you want to dive into that.
Sure.
That'd be rad.
I think that there are places like if you look at, I'm trying to think of songs from that, like Playground, you know, Dinner Table. There are these like locations that become really important, and you kind of take them for granted. Yeah. And then you become an adult, and like the dinner table always seems like a place where you can openly talk about what's bugging you or what kind of day you have. And it doesn't feel as right to talk about that stuff if you're not there. Like if you're just sitting on the couch, it almost feels awkward. But if you're sitting and you're having a meal, or you're drinking a cup of coffee or whatever, for some reason there's this thing where, at least for me, where I feel, oh, I can talk about anything now because I'm like in this space. So I feel like, I think we just, on that album, we tried to give meaning to things that seem like basic, you know, just everyday things that you encounter. But when you really look back on it, you realize like, oh, that was special, that, you know, not all families get to have dinner with their parents, you know, and just sit there and talk about that. Not everyone has that relationship, and we have really awesome parents that are, you know, are supportive of what we do right now too, which is rare, you know. Yeah. And your kid is like I, you know, instead of going for 4 years for my degree, I went for 2 and was like, I'm not going to get a teaching degree because I don't want to do that forever. Or whatever. I like doing that on the side. Nobody questioned it, you know. It was like you know what, you do your thing. Yeah. I never felt like either of our parents going, well, you shouldn't do that. They were always just like, heck yeah, you know.
That's huge. So, yeah. That makes it kind of fills into that the album's who we are, and like it's all these things that make up who you are. Like it's all like on a conceptual level, maybe intended or unintended or like post-examined. It almost seemed like there was like a narrative through it, but it also, like when you're bringing up like the idea of just these places, those are things that make up who you are, you know, for everybody, and it's really done in a way that's cool because it's not like, it's relatable. And I think we were kind of touching upon lyrics, like how Kane, if it doesn't relate to you, Kyle will change like one thing to make it relate to him. So it's like this collective thing that you guys can both relate to. And like I know I'm kind of harping on that release, but that's the out, you know what I mean? That's the big release you guys got out. But like, that's really cool to hear because it makes sense of, oh, okay, who we are. I get it. You know what I mean? Like that's part of it.
And we're all about like conceptual stuff too. Yeah. Like I love when albums kind of tell a singular story. It doesn't have to all be exactly about the same thing, but the collective idea connects all these songs together. Yeah. And that's what we tried to do with that one. And Dinner Table is a song that, like, when he first played it for me, by the end I was like crying like a I was like,
how can you not?
Said, you asshole.
I did that but one of his songs on the album is Cut and Run.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
And he played that one for me and I cried listening to it. So we both played each other. So we were like, okay, these are some decent songs. Right. If it like has an emotional reaction to it. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like especially now, it's getting even more like this, but our songs bounce all over the place, like genre-wise. Yeah. And I mean, it seems kind of how Spotify playlists work now. Like, you know, I teach kids and stuff guitar, and it's like, you ask them what kind of music they like, and they look at you like you're an alien. Like, what do you mean, what kind of music? I like music, you know? Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Yes, it's super cool. And, you know, like we said, we were listening to Master of Puppets the other day, but then the other day I also was like, dude, you need to listen to Ariana Grande's album, and I played him songs from that. So it's like we can enjoy like pretty much anything. Yeah. There are like we have a couple blind spots, I'm sure, like anybody, but sure.
Everyone has preferences, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think that when you have songs that bounce all over the place, for it to not feel like a mixtape almost, you have to have some sort of consistent theme throughout. Yeah. Together.
It's got to be you to some degree. You know, if it and tonally, if it isn't you, it like it's either going to be you in some other aspect of it. Like if you're a DJ making a record, you're going to have like a thing that is a weird choice that DJ always makes or whatever, or a narrative, like you're saying. And it's interesting because like Spotify has shifted how people consume music, right? Like the idea that we listen to music that songs are only like 2 to 3 minutes, right? Well, where'd that come from? Probably the size of the vinyl. You know what I mean? Like technology has a big effect on what we listen to and how we listen to it. And Spotify being more single based and like kind of hitting it a vibe of a person. So you can hear constantly new stuff to like the type of thing you like. Like if you're a reggae guy and you just listen to reggae, you're going to have endless Spotify stuff. And like, it's interesting that's kind of the thing. And as a group like you guys, or even with like my stuff, like with Sea Level, we genre hop a lot of shit. And like, at first it seems really hard how do you push your record? Because like everything's so single based. And so what genre are you? What can we put you in? But what's cool is when you're diverse like that, you can kind of throw your shit in everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, at least that's the strategy I've been trying to cope with. Like, I'll just put one song here, one song here. Hopefully everyone comes and is continuously disappointed by the rest of our stuff, but that's all right.
It balances out, right?
Right.
I mean, I call us a different genre depending on who I'm talking to. So, like, if we're trying to get on a, like, indie playlist, I'll be like, we're an indie band. But if it's a pop playlist, I'll be like, we're a pop band. Because we have different songs that, like, we could put on any of those that would actually work, you know? So I think that I don't know what's going to happen, but I wonder if eventually genres are going to become less important. Mm-hmm. I thought about making a playlist just called, like, what we like. Because I'm like, I don't, instead of limiting it to, like, one type of thing, it's like, who listens to one type of music anymore? I feel like people did used to do that.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. Like, sorry, not to cut you off.
Okay.
But, like, I would agree with that in the sense of, like, because, like, did you guys look at the Spotify year thing where it shows you, like, in 2020, you've discovered 558 new genres? And you're like, what the fuck do you mean I discovered 558 new genres? There's not even that many options in your genre thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But, like, it's like for a kid now to have, like, a phone and have an accent to even a free Spotify account, you're exposed to not only, like, one CD of Metallica, but one career of metal. It's thrash metal. You know what I mean? Like, and it's cool because of that, because you're always expanding and learning more. But it's also kind of lame because you don't have that. The juxtaposition of it would be like, you don't have that connection with it. Like, oh, my friend Scott gave me this CD of Metallica. That's why I treasure it so much, because he gave it to me in the treehouse that had a bunch of crosses and puppets on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. Like, there's, like, the intimate connection is kind of severed, but the expansion of, I don't know if it's good or bad. I've just been thinking about it a lot.
That's an interesting balance too, you know, because some people might find a song special, but it's just a much different way than it used to be, even 5 years ago. You know? It's just crazy how quick it's moving too. And
it's cool. I don't know. It's cool, and it's just a lot that you're always learning shit and trying to keep up with it, and like, and when you define yourself with it, it's something that the fact that you can always keep learning, it always keeps this, like, spark to happen, right? Like, and you guys have a song called Emptiness, which is I thought for a musician a really cool concept. Like, I don't know. I think that the endless spark will kind of always to keep the emptiness from being there. I don't know, like, if you want to elaborate on that one too, that'd be sweet, because that's a cool tune.
Sure. So yeah, I think it's kind of goes back to
am I hitting all your songs, Kane?
I don't know. What other one?
Yeah, but it's cool.
My bad. I'm not.
He writes a big amount of them. So
well, and it's weird too, because like, for that song, I had kind of the main concept, right? But then we went to the bridge, and you kind of did a lot of the bridge, and so it kind of goes back and forth. But it started as my demo of it or whatever. Actually, this is kind of a sidetrack thing, but one funny thing that he always does, my demo vocals are always pretty much horrible. And I'll hit, like, really wrong notes, but I'm just trying to, like, nail it, like, just get the take down or whatever.
Yeah.
But he will never forget the notes that sounded bad. And so when he sings the note on stage but sings it well, he looks at me and, like, laughs, like, remember when you sang that note?
I will never forget.
Yeah, it's a constant, like, inside joke.
And when we're practicing, when we're, like, rehearsing the live show, I sing it wrong when he sang it wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's one of those things.
Brotherly, like...
It's like, I can't remember what I ate for lunch yesterday, but I'll never forget that one wrong note that you sang on your demo.
Yeah. That's how our whole, like, friend group is, too. It's like, you know, you have those friends where you'll never live a dumb thing you said down.
Yeah.
You say it one time, and then it just becomes who you are for the rest of your... of your life. Yeah, but anyway, that song is about kind of what you were saying earlier, where you have like these anxieties about stuff and you're like, I got to do this and this and this. It's almost like you want to distract yourself. And I was thinking about that and how, man, a lot of musicians, it seems like anyone who does something kind of art related has this, like baggage that comes with them, like some unresolved something. Don't know what it is always, but, sometimes music is a way to cover that up almost, or to like make peace with it, you know? Yeah. Where, you know, like there have been times that I've played a song for my mom or something, and then she'll be like, are you okay? You know? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, I'm actually a happy person, but this is just how I get it out of my system, you know? Yeah. As opposed to kind of like holding it all in. So it was just kind of about that. And, drum wise, we were both really listening to John Bellion at that time, and he's got like a lot of like swingy drums, and we were like, how can we make the drums in this song like less straight than what you hear on like a trap beat or whatever. We wanted to make it a little bit different. So that's kind of where the drums came from, and then from there it was just you know, the whole like da 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 happens in the song. That's much the chorus. I thought that there were going to have to be words there, but then it was like, well, no, it's fine. Like, let's just keep it that, because people can sing that. Really, people don't have to remember those words. So it was just kind of, we wanted to have a really catchy chorus with that one. And
that bit is super catchy, and it kind of puts the whole idea of like anyone could write the music. You know what I mean? Like, that is the music, right? It's just the catchy thing it's the fulfillment in that, and like making this thing and seeing it completed. And like, and it's weird on a narrative structure, like the lack of something there almost fulfills it more. I don't know. Like, you guys are really good. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, well written. So with this next coming batch of tunes, is there a strong narrative through?
Yes, this is probably the most conceptual that we've done. It's also a little more charged in message. Okay. I feel like it's timely, and it's
makes sense.
I don't know. It's just very.
I think in the past we've avoided like talking about specific issues, whether they're like, I mean the one song, it's not like a political song really, but we kind of have avoided certain things in the past because we're like, well, some people that like follow us might not agree with that perspective, but then at some point we just thought like, let's just tell the truth, like what we think, you know. It doesn't mean, you know, not everyone that follows what we do has to agree with us. Like, there can be disagreements, you know, like in your fans or whatever. And the song in particular I'm thinking of that we haven't put out yet, but Kyle wrote, it's got like this very specific message. And when I first heard it, I hadn't really heard him write anything like that before. And we thought the EP, we had all the songs for it. And then he played me this one. And I'm pretty sure we tossed out one of mine after, because I was like, dude, okay, I like when that happens. Like, his song kicked my song's ass, you know, and then we kind of swap it out, and you kind of like try to one up each other or whatever. So, it definitely has like a story throughout, you know, and it feels like it's about that musician mentality of like, oh, it's us against them kind of thing. I don't know where I feel like musicians are just like angsty people. Like, we almost say that it's us against them, but it's not always even true. No, it hardly ever is. Heads, you know? Yeah. It's basically unpacking that, if you were to put it on like.
It's kind of like the creative side of someone versus the corporate side of someone. So like, it's the desire to be creative and make this art versus the pressure to get in line and put on a suit and do a 9 to 5, you know. It's kind of like those things coming to a head. So
gotcha.
And like that's cool. He made like an interesting point one time about one of the songs. I kind of wrote it as like me against somebody else. Mm-hmm. Like it's kind of like a conversation type thing.
Yeah.
But then he was like, well, it almost feels like the person against yourself. Cause it seems like whatever you dislike in other people, like mm-hmm. qualities that you're like, I don't want to have, it's cause deep down you kind of see them in yourself a little bit and you don't want that to be true, you know? So no matter who you have conflict with, like there is some piece of them that you probably have deep down in yourself. And that's kind of the whole thing, is just exploring that idea of, instead of me being against other people, I'm actually against my own like faults and insecurities and stuff, and trying to like figure that out, like unpack that.
And that's therapy. That's like psychodynamic. That's some heavy shit. And like, it's weird. You always like ask for advice you want to receive, or you give advice you want to receive in some weird way. You know what I mean? Like when you're like, someone's like, oh, I don't know how to handle this relationship. And you give them the advice you wish someone would give you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, but that is a crazy, like, juxtaposition, and like trying to, I don't know. That sounds sick. I can't wait to hear it. We're
really excited for it. Yeah. This is the longest we've worked on any music. And the pandemic probably had part to play in it. But,
sure.
We're kind of getting to the home stretch. We're going to shoot a video at the end of this month for the first single. The first single's mixed, and we just got to master it, and then we'll be on our way.
Do you do all the mastering yourself?
This is the first time we've taken it into a studio. Before we've done it all ourselves, but this time we really believe in like these songs and these ideas, and there's like a ton going on in these songs too. Like I can't really peg a genre for it, which kind of circles back to what we've been talking about. Like I can't peg what genre it is, because especially this first single is just like a lot of different things going on. So we went to Ohio Recording Company in Fremont, and he helped us mix it, and then have him master it for us too.
Nice. I think Apostle Jones did their EP there.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what Mikey told me, because that name's new to me, and it keeps, every time someone says it, I'm like, oh yeah, that place is a place too. Like Cleveland.
It's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah.
Sick.
Dude, Mickey has to be one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life.
100%. 100% one of the nicest dudes.
So he's so great.
Yeah, and super talented too, and like one of the most entertaining shows you'll see. I did and he's got a pretty interesting story. He's from Chicago, or he's from here, and did a lot of like theater work in Chicago. I did a podcast with him when their EP dropped. But and like, what was I gonna say about Mikey? Oh man, fuck! I totally brain farted. It's gonna come back. But yeah, no, Mikey's the shit. You guys, because you guys have played a few times with Apostle Jones, right?
I think we just only played with them once,
okay,
but then we played at the Winchester, and Mikey came to like see us and stuff.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I remember now.
We basically have like this like little friendship going.
Yeah,
those guys. So
he's so supportive of everybody too. Like when he came back, I played in a band called Hamilton Handshake for a while. I was playing bass, and it's like the other teachers I work with. It was like the teachers band, you know what I mean? And like they were like Rolling Stones rock, and like Mikey really liked it because it was a cool band. They were really good. And I saw him at some mic night, and he was wearing the Hamilton Handshake shirt. I'm like, oh, cool shirt, man. Their bass player sucks. And he's like, well, what's wrong with it? And he didn't put two and two together at first that it was me just doing a shitty joke. And like, I don't know. That's how we started to become friends.
That's
at least he didn't go like, oh yeah, he for sure does. Like,
yeah, that would have really sucked. He's like, yeah, for real. I'm like, oh man. I also saw you guys played with my buddy Greg in Ann Arbor.
Greg Hughes?
Yeah, Greg Hughes from After Hours Radio.
Yes.
Oh,
was
dude.
that house show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It would have been that house show.
That was one of the most infamous shows we ever played.
What?
Okay.
Crack it open. That sounds awesome.
It was crazy. I've never played a show like it. So it was a house show. It was, what was it? Release of
some animal video or something, right?
Something about Earth. Okay?
Yeah, it was like Planet Earth 2, and they were going to project it.
Yeah, that was it. So I didn't know what to expect. So we roll up at this house across the street from University of Michigan, the stadium. Mm-hmm. Like literally right across the street. Got to park in the driveway so we could unload the gear, but then had to find a different spot. Our bass player could not find a parking spot to save his life. So we were trying to set our stuff up in this tiny living room. Everybody's dressed up as animals. Like this guy's dressed up in a onesie pajama outfit, and everybody's tweaking on things. Okay, everyone's feeling themselves, and we start playing, and we couldn't. Their mixer wasn't able to do our backing track.
Yeah,
but we had enough people to where we could kind of wing it.
Yeah.
And we played, and it was the tightest room we've ever played in. But the energy in there was just like unlike anything I've ever, like you could just feel it like pulsing. And then down in the basement, some dude was doing like a DJ set, but it was pitch black down there. I didn't go down there, and it was freezing cold outside. Yeah. But then when we were done, we had to get all the gear out, and by then, shoulder to shoulder, like
you had to like run into.
Yeah, we were like battering people with our bass drum just to like make room to get out of there. And that night, on our way home, when it hit midnight, Kane and I turned 21.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I had the day before our actual birthday, I went and got my new license because technically at midnight it wouldn't have been valid. So my license that I have to this day, the picture on it is from that day.
That's awesome.
Because I had to get it, yeah. So
I remember I was playing drums for that show, and because for a while I was our drummer when before we started doing the 2-piece. So that's kind of
you did drums. You did marching band, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I was, and then I was like a drum instructor after that for a couple of years.
Okay.
So like big marching band.
Yeah.
And so I was playing drum set for the show, but I forgot a freaking rug. Like an idiot.
Yeah.
And so then
it's a house show. Oh, shit.
It's a wood floor, and like this sticky wood floor, and it's like sliding. So I had this big like cardigan on and I took it off and I put it under the bass drum. So then it was like all gross and stuff. But I just remember like having to pull the kick drum back like the whole set.
That sucks. Was it the Luther House? Or was it Luther House? Was that Luther House? Or what's the other venue they have?
It was like a Yakamura co-op.
Okay. All right. Then yeah.
Remember that?
I have no idea how I remember it.
How do you forget?
Right. I could not forget that night. I will never forget that night. It was just so crazy.
Our dad and stepmom were there.
Yeah.
So they went to see us, and so like they're both standing there, and these like all these kids who were like in these animal onesies, and they're just standing there like, why did we come here? And it was wild. Yeah, it was hilarious. And then I remember one guy. This is a weird story, but I just remember this guy, he was drinking Jack and Coke, but not in the same glass. He had a can of Coca-Cola and a thing of Jack Daniels. And he would just drink one and then the other. So he would just go like back and forth with it. And I remember he just tried to... No.
What was he dressed up as?
A zebra?
He was the DJ for in between bands, and he would just plug in his iPod.
Yeah, but he had an outfit on.
Oh, maybe.
He had like a pink onesie. It might have been a pig. I don't know why you'd wear a pig onesie, but anyway,
he was like, he befriended me for some reason. He started hitting my drums, and I'd never met him, and I was already I was like, what are you doing, dude? Like, these cost money. And he goes, yeah, man, I don't play drums, but like I can drum because it's like in my culture or whatever. Like he was just going on, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? And then he goes to the bathroom And he hands me his jacket and coat, and he goes, "Listen, man, I need you to hold these for me. You can drink as much as you want, but don't let anyone else have any." And I was like, I didn't even know his name, and I was like, "Okay,
you got it."
It was just so strange.
Oh man, that's awesome. Greg is one of the nicest guys in the world. I love Greg so much, and he does so much on a serious note, even though that's the most bonkers version of a show to walk into. But he does so much for the DIY like scene. Like he was trying to develop a connection from Chicago to Cleveland, and I think all the way to PA. Like he was trying to work like a route, like a Chitlin circuit, so to say, of DIY places they can play. And like, because C-Level would play there a lot, I would play there a lot in random places in Ypsilanti or Ann Arbor or whatever. And we played in Detroit, and he drove out just to hang out with us in Detroit and brought like 5 people with him. And you know what I mean? Like Greg's the real deal. And like his band he's playing with, I don't think they're After Hours is no more. So I think he's kind of coasting between stuff. But like I saw you guys play there. I'm like, that's sick. Cause he's the homie for sure. And like,
yeah, we played with him a couple of times. I don't know if it was
too.
Okay. It was in Howard's.
Okay. Well. I think we've been at it for a minute, friends. I think we should, you guys feel good? You feel good about this? I feel like we covered a lot of shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Sick. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me. This has been badass.
Thank you, man. It was good to virtually meet you.
Yeah, likewise.